We'd love to hear what you think. Members of Unite, the union, have voted overwhelmingly to reject Birmingham City Council's new pay deal after a month-long strike. Unite says accepting it would have meant substantial pay cuts for workers. The council says, nope, it's a fair deal. In the meantime, thousands of tonnes of rubbish is piling up on the city's streets with warnings of a public health emergency. Military planners have been called in and neighbouring authorities and volunteers are attempting to clear some of it. Helen, do you back the workers here?
I think I do. Because I think there's a lot to be said about the whole management. They're not taking cuts. The refuse collectors are not asking for a huge pay rise. They're asking for not to have a cut. But the people who are trying to make decisions about them having a cut aren't taking a cut. So, and I think if you look at neighbouring authorities, they're all on more money. And I think it's highlighting a problem rather than sort of creating it. I think it's the state of the roads reflects the management, really. Throw everything in the air and see where it happens, where it falls.
I mean, as I understand it, the council is now being run by accountants because obviously it went bust. So the politicians are got their hands off the steering wheel. So that's why this council is not really responsive to the uproar, because they're just looking at numbers. What do you think?
It really looks like something from a different age, seeing all of that rubbish piled up. Probably reminiscent of the 80s or the 70s, whenever it last happened. It's not something I think people expected to see again, but we do see it happening in Birmingham. Why is it happening in Birmingham? So in 2012, the Birmingham City Council lost an equal pay claim, which meant they had to pay £1.1 billion in compensation to women who it was decided were not paid equally to their male counterparts. It was essentially teaching assistants, carers, cleaners not being paid the same as refuse collectors. That is what this decision decided. And so they've been trying to pay that back, and that's what's made them go bankrupt. And the reason why they're getting rid, or one of the reasons that I've read they're getting rid of this waste and recycling collection officer role, is because it is an equal pay risk. So they're concerned that the same thing could happen all over again. It could make them even more bankrupt. So that's kind of the background behind it, from what I understand. And I suppose the question is, who pays for this? Do we want council taxpayers, i.e. you and I and everyone around the country in Birmingham who are paying their council tax to pay for this increase in wages, or do we want it to come from cuts to wages? It's not an easy decision to make.
Let's speak to Erne Kassab, who's Unite's lead national officer, about this. So there was a deal apparently offered and 97% of your members rejected it, Erne.
Good morning, and that's correct. And it's because the deal is still about pay cuts, and it only deals with a minority of people impacted. I mean, we made people aware weeks ago now that in addition to the original role that was going to be deleted, the council are also looking at cutting the pay of drivers as well, down from £40,000 to £32,000 a year. And this proposal just didn't deal with that issue at all. So it failed to deal with the majority of people who are being impacted by the council's proposals.
But it's a role. They're closing a role, aren't they? They're closing this collections officer role, which the council sees as being just a way of creating a bit of extra pay for people who rotate through that role, and there's no point to it.
No, I disagree. The council agreed the role back in 2017. The role was job evaluated. It came out at the grade. It's a loader role with a specific responsibility to make sure that there is safe practice at the back of the vehicle. On the point that your colleague raised about equal pay, as it stands at the moment, the council have given us no evidence that this is a genuine equal pay challenge. And let's be really, really clear here. No areas, teaching assistants do not benefit from refuse workers having a cut in pay. So when we talk about equal pay, we're not talking about harmonising upwards. We're not talking about taking away from the refuse workers and giving to the teaching assistants.
No, but that's not what Albie was saying. But Albie's point was made. He was saying the council has been stung twice for equal pay. It cannot have roles that are mainly occupied by men, which female workers can look at and say, we want to have the same pay as that person. That's it. That's the end of it, isn't it?
Well, no, and there's the challenge. You see, there are no practices that are being undertaken in the refuse role that are equal pay challengeable. They are both evaluated using the same scheme, and that's the key issue. When Jim McMahon MP stood up in Parliament and said there were practices that meant there were equal pay liabilities undertaken in refuse, he was completely and utterly wrong. I think he was talking about something called task and finish that went away a long, long time ago. So without getting too technical about it, they are evaluated under the same process. So that's why there shouldn't be an equal pay challenge.
Well, we don't know what the courts will make of it if the case is taken. That I suppose that we can all agree on that. Just one more thing, though. If you could tell us, One, are there going to be strikes in other areas?
Well, that very much depends on what other local authorities do. We are not going out looking for industrial disputes, but we know that local authorities, as a result of austerity, and we know they're under huge, huge pressure, we know that local authorities may well be looking at making our members pay the price for that austerity, and that's not acceptable. So if similar proposals are put forward in other local authorities, then of course we're going to defend our members in defending their pay and conditions. OK, thank you very much indeed. Ode Kassab of Unite. Yorkshire and Cambridgeshire and Sheffield all mentioned, so this could spread. But it certainly doesn't look like it's going to be over by Easter. And how long will it even take to clear up the bags? John's in Nottinghamshire. What do you make of it, John?
Good morning. Yes, I've been following it quite closely, and I noticed this morning that the council is apparently run by accountants now, and they're saying that they've got no money to make this pay. And they were saying it's down to 12 people losing £6,000 a year, which roughly works out £100,000 a year. They must be paying £100,000 a day to private contractors, consultants, let alone taking the army away from their normal jobs. So surely this is a money-saving thing to pay if they're telling the truth and it's £100,000. Give it to them.
Well, yeah, the council says it's only going to affect 14 people. This, I'm
14 people at 6,000 each. That's less than £100,000 a year.
But it's the knock-on. As Albie was explaining, John, they've been burnt twice by these equal pay claims. They cannot have a job that's overpaid, that's mainly done by men, because it will cause...
but I think your expert you just had on from the union just debunked Albie's theory.
But this isn't my theory. This was something which was decided by courts. I suppose the broader question...
But the guy who's just been on, Albie, the guy who's just been on, told you that doesn't apply to this.
He's a union.
Now, are you going to listen to the guy who's dealing with it? Are you just going to have a superior opinion?
It's not my opinion. I'm relaying what a court found, and that is why Birmingham City Council is
doesn't apply to this situation.
OK, but there are people who think it does. Not necessarily
John,
me.
Are you in the Unite union?
I'm not in any union at all. No, I'm not. I've not got a political view on it. I'm looking at it purely financially.
OK. Well, you made him cross.
I know he's made me a bit cross, actually, John, trying to say that I'm making this decision.
I think he's made perfect sense there. The actual cost, the cost that they're paying agency staff, the clear up afterwards will be phenomenal. All the rat catchers have got to go in and all of that. So there will be more
wait a minute,
costs.
you're saying you get rid of the accountants who are having to run the council because they destroy the people who run it destroyed it.
I'd love to know what salary they're on.
OK, you save that money, you give the bin workers the money they want from the accountants. What do you do next year? You haven't got any money to save to give it. What do you do next year?
Well, you will have saved money in the budget, but in the following year.
You save money forever. OK.
But that's the conundrum that every council has every year. But there's also questions like why are we choosing just on bin collectors, refuse collectors to cut? Because the next question is, we've cut them, then we'll cut these people, and then we'll cut those people. It's a slippery slope.
It's not clear how this cut relates to a particular role they're closing that bin workers used to circulate through, which gave them extra money as they did work in that role. And you can see why they're cheesed off, there's no question about it. Whether or not you need the role and whether it's an equal pay risk, there's no firm answer because you can't know until the case goes to court.
Exactly, and the concern is if the case does go to court and it goes in the same direction as the other case, then they'll be liable for a huge bill.
Again.
Also, what's interesting about this waste refuse collector officer role is that it was introduced in 2017 after a strike. So if a role that didn't exist before 2017 is now being striked because it's getting rid of now, it throws up other questions.
Right. We'll take more calls. It's technical, isn't it? But it's very interesting. The bin workers are obviously very, very angry in Birmingham, and they will keep striking, 97%. So how do you bring it to an end? To the bin workers. I should have asked you, Albie, do you think they're being selfish?
I do. Yeah, I do think it's selfish because the council are between a rock and a hard place here. They are bankrupt. They are literally bankrupt. They know that taxpayers, council taxpayers, won't accept further council tax rises. They have got this concern about this role being an equal pay risk. Whether it is an equal pay risk is something which is yet to be decided, but they've been burnt by that before. So they want to remove that risk from the future. And it's getting to a point now where the situation in Birmingham is so bad, public health risk, people getting bitten by rats. There is an offer on the table which is better than what they were offered before. I think it's probably just time to accept it so we can all move on.
OK, Brenda's in Wiltshire. You used to drive a bin lorry. Brenda.
Yes, I did, but for 18 years I've worked for the council, and the only reason that the councils are short of money is because they waste a lot. Like you start off as a bin lorry driver, then you've got a team leader above you, then you've got several different people working in the
hear you, Brenda. I'm so sorry. We're going to have to call you back. We can't hear you. Derek in London, hi.
Hello.
Are they being selfish?
No, they're not.
So
They say about hello.
Hello, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, they say about they're going to start having private contractors to clear it up. Well, why not give the council, the workers, a pay rise rather than pay all that money just to clear it up?
Well, I guess they don't. Well, Derek, we're back with the thing at the start, aren't we? That they don't want to roll over because then they've got to pay loads of other workers more.
I suppose so, but I still don't work it out that they keep saying about all these rats about and all these diseases that might come up, yet they're leaving it there and asking private contractors and the army to come in and clear it up.
Well, I know they have to pay for that as well. Thank you so much. I think we got Brenda back. Hello, Brenda.
Hello, Jeremy. And
that's better. That's better. Now, you were saying you used to drive a bin truck.
Yes, I did for 18 years. I've done loading and I've done driving.
Can you understand this dispute then? It's all to do with this extra role that was created at the back, the safety officer at the back of the truck.
Yes, well, I agree with them going on strike because they're asking people to take £8,000 a year less a home in their wages. But yet the chief executive of the council and all the office workers won't take a pay cut. You have to work in the heat. You have to work in the rain.
Yep.
It's environmental health, which we have the vaccinations for that ourselves. Yes, we do see rats in the bin lorry that come out when you throw the bags in. What was to stop people to take their own rubbish to the tip for a few weeks until this is sorted?
Yeah, I know, I hear you, but we've discussed this. It may be that if they have to pay the bin workers more, then they've got to pay lots of other people more. And as we've seen, Birmingham is bankrupt. It doesn't have any money.
Well, then they want to ask the people in the office to take a pay cut as well.
Right. OK. Well, good point. Maybe they've all got the sack anyway. I don't know what's happened to the chief executive and co.
I think actually what Brenda has just said breaks a bigger question about the conditions that refuse workers work in and whether or not they should actually be paid more than people who work for the council in more comfortable conditions, which I suppose is at the crux of what's caused this council to be bankrupt, this equal pay claim. And is it right that we've got a network of laws in this country that allows situations like this to happen, where people who are working easier jobs in easier conditions are demanding to be paid the same as people who are working in harder conditions, who just so happen to be more likely to be male?
Good
Women,
point.
Brenda was a refuse collector. Women can work in these roles if they want to. There's nothing stopping women going and being refuse collectors. So I actually think refuse collectors should be paid more than other council workers.
OK, well, they probably are. I don't know. But I mean, certainly if you're working behind a screen and a kiosk and you're doing MOTs or something, you don't deserve as much money as somebody who's pitching rubbish into the back of a dangerous truck. David in Southampton, hello. Do you think the refuse workers are right to keep striking, David?
No, I think they should go back. The reason being is that all this. I mean, they're even now talking about a ripple on the pond. It's going to go to other councils. They need to get themselves into a room. There used to be an organisation, a sort of mediation.
ACAS.
Didn't they? ACAS, that's the one.
Yeah, was it the advisory?
And get them in there and get a reasoning into it, because one against the other all the time isn't going to work.
What do you think, Helen?
So getting back to work, make Birmingham,
hang on, David. I'm just going to ask Helen a question. What do you think about? I don't even know if ACAS exists. It
does.
Advisory, Conciliatory, and Arbitration Service.
Yeah.
And they used to get involved in everything.
Yeah, where are they? Or
maybe
if
the
it's
bin
not
workers
there,
don't.
another mediator. Why isn't there a mediator there? It's been going on for God knows how many weeks. Just put somebody in there, and as my mum would say, bash their heads together.
There's nothing to mediate. There's nothing to mediate. The council said this is all we can do. The bin workers say it's not enough. That's it.
But there are, because I'm not a mediator, you're not a mediator. Mediators know how to handle those situations, and they have already changed an offer. So there is room. There has been room. And you're also looking at, if they're looking at, I think it was £8,000 cut a year, what percentage of that salary? Why is it only the bin collectors that are taking, refuse collectors taking that percentage of cut, and no other workers in?
Yeah, they're taking it from one job that they don't do all year round. That's the key thing about that cut. It's kind of a technical thing. I mean, the council says it only affects 14 people. Who knows? Who knows the truth of it? Dave is another Dave in West Yorkshire. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Hello.
Go on, fire away.
Yep, we're here.
I'm here.
Whereabouts are you, Dave?
Wakefield.
Brilliant. What would you like to say on the show?
The bin men do right to strike, and if the MPs that are idle and go to sleep play on their iPhones and iPads, and those that attend Parliament that don't need, all that money saved could go to the bin workers. And just to prove the point, why not put all them idle MPs out to do this job for a week or two and let them see how hard and how awkward it can be, and dangerous at times.
That's a very interesting suggestion. 650 MPs. I was going to say they would clear them in a day, but I'm not sure. Dave, thank you. Lovely to hear from you. But the council says 17 workers affected. Just we're sort of juggling with these numbers. That's what's got Birmingham to a halt, and we'll see what breaks in the next few days on that. Thank you for your calls. Later we'll be